Okay, hi guys. Some of you have already done this question, but for those who have not done this question, I'll keep it. This. I'll just give you 5 minutes. No, I'll give you. Yeah, I'll just give you all 5 minutes to try doing this question. Let's see if you all can get it done. Some of you have already done this as well. So if you've already done it, you can raise your hands up so I know you're done. Let's see how many of you have already done this question. These are semester papers question, huh? All right, Mr. Summarize. Time till 6:15 to complete this question, others. Those who have not done this question, I'll give you time till 6:15. Try doing this question. Do we have to send the answers? No. I'll be discuss the answers, then you can correct your answers, and then I'll be asking your marks. When I get your marks, you can tell. Complete this question before 6:15. Those are done completing this question, raise your hands up in Zoom so I know you're done. Yes, Umair, you can do it again. This is a semester paper question. Yes, it is a semester paper question. I give you 3 more minutes. Quickly complete this question, all of you. Those are done completing this question, raise your hands up. Yes, Rahma. Those who did this question, how was the question? Was it easy or was it hard? Okay. Okay, it's 6:15. Let's start the discussion. Right, let's see. So all of you now you can stop your writings and mark your answers along with me. And if you have any questions, you can drop this in the chat. Yeah, normally I'll share this paper in the community after class. Consider the following spreadsheet segment that shows sales data for retail store for the year 2020, including quarterly and yearly totals as well as the projections for 2021. Okay, so they are saying there is a shop with Sims. Okay, a retail store means like a grocery shop. Okay, and in this grocery shop, they have mentioned their total sales for January here, January 2023, February 2023, March 2023. Every month from starting from January. So this is a January amount. So you can see this is January amount up to December amount. That is here. See, up to December amount is mentioned here. So from January to February, every month's total sales is recorded in these cells. Okay. And then you can see the next column, they have mentioned something called projected sales. The word projected sales means like expected sales, how much of sales we are expecting in the next year. Now you can see here we are talking about 2023 and here we are talking about 2024. So they are saying in 2023 January we have got 1500 and we are expecting it to increase to 1600 in 2024. Likewise, every month what the expectation to how much it should be is mentioned here. Okay, this is just a expectation. We're expecting, we're just predicting that okay, in 2024 this will be the amount. We're just making a prediction, right? That's what you call as projected sales. And then you can see if you have learned in maths, something you already learned something called quarters. Like for example, not only in maths, even something in commerce, you already learned something called quarters. Like you already have heard this word called annual sales, right? The word annual, you all are familiar with the word annual, right? What do you mean by the word annual? Yes, annually means yearly, every year. You already have heard this word called semi-annually as well. What do you mean by semi-annually? Somebody would have come across this word called semi-annually in either maths or else commerce. What do you mean by semi-annually? Exactly, every 6 months. Similarly, there's something called as quarterly. Quarterly means if you take a year, one fourth of a year. One quarter means one fourth. No, in a year you have 12 months. So one fourth of a year means how many months? Exactly, one fourth of a year means every 3 months, right? If you divide 12 by 4, you get 3 now. Every 3 months. So you can see they have mentioned a Q1, which means the first 3 months, Q2, the second 3 months, Q3, the next 3 months, and Q4, the last 3 months, right? Then you can see the total of these first 3 months sales, January, February, March, the total of these first 3 months sales, they have mentioned here, total sales for Q1. And then the total of the second 3 months, that is April, May, June, the total of these Q2 sales, they have mentioned here. See, total Q2 sales. And then the total of the next few months sales, that is Q3, that is basic from July to October. The total sales for Q3 is mentioned here. And then finally, the total sales for Q4 is October, November, December. That is mentioned here. Okay. So you can see every quarter's total is also mentioned in this sales. And finally, you can see they have mentioned something called total sales for 2023. Right. And then here you can see in the next column, you can see they have predicted, okay, for what you called 2024, what will be the total sales for the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. They have done a prediction here as well. And here they have made the total predictions as well for the whole year. How much are the expected sales they have mentioned here. So if you go through the spreadsheet, you don't have to have a detailed idea of everything, but just if you get a random idea of what are these data, That's more than enough. Now, based on what I highlighted and said all those stuffs, give me 1 minute, 1 minute. Yeah. So based on what I highlighted and said and all those stuff, tell me, can you understand what is the data this spreadsheet is containing? Because without understanding the question or the understanding the spreadsheet, it will be difficult for you to do the questions. Perfect. Let's start writing the answers for this question now. The first question they have mentioned, write down the correct formula in the form of equal function, cell 1 to cell 2, that should be entered in cell F18 to find the total sales for the year 2023. Okay, now they are asking you to write the formula in cell F18. So normally, you know, the cell address is formed by the column name and row number. So column F, row number 18. That is there somewhere here. This is the cell F18. So they are asking us to give a function, okay, a formula including function to find this amount. Now this amount, you know, it is a total sales for 2023. You can find the total sales using two methods. You can find the total sales using two methods. One method you can find the total sales is by adding these values from January to December. These values you can add. Or another method you can do is you can add these values. Okay. Tell me, is it correct if I add all these values? Starting from the F2 cell, if I add the F17 cell, is it correct? No, because it will be double. Exactly, it will be double then. Why? Because total of Q1 is the meaning of this. The meaning of this total of Q2 is the meaning of the addition of this. The meaning of total of Q3 is basically the addition of this. And the meaning of this total of Q4 is the addition of these. So if you take those cells as well, if you take this fellow, this fellow, this fellow, and this fellow, if you take those cells as well, it's like you're taking the double of that. That is why, you know, writing a formula, you have to take either the first few cells, which is these few cells, starting from January and going up to December. Either you take these few cells total, or else the bottom few cells total. Is that clear, all of you? Okay. Now another question for you. To find total in a spreadsheet, first of all, in spreadsheet we have learned several functions. We have learned the sum function, count A, min, max. There are several functions we learned. Out of all of these functions, tell me what is the most suitable function to add values together, to add multiple values? Yes, to add multiple values, we are going to use a sum function. And then I gave you two values you can mention. Now, first of all, let's say we are going to add the months together from January to December. The months values, if you're going to add together, tell me what is the cell range? What is the cell range that contains the every month's values? Every month's values are there in which cell range? Look at this spreadsheet and tell me in which cell range can you find every month's value? When I ask cell range, you tell from the starting cell up to the ending cell. So starting cell, you can see the every month's value is starting from F2 and it's ending at F13. So your cell range is going to be equal sum F2 to F13. This is one answer you can mention. Apart from this, you can even take the quarters. Now tell me, or else I'm going to mention this. In which cell range do we have the every quarter's total amount? The totals of every quarter is there in which cell range? Yes, that is there from cell F14 to F17. So you can mention a equal sum F14 to F17. Okay. So if you had mentioned either one of them, you will be getting here the 1 mark. Is that clear of you? Anyone having any questions here? If you got the answer correct, mark it tick, okay? If your answer doesn't have the equal symbol, no marks. Make sure your answer has the equal symbol and the what you call function name and cell range is correct. If a function name, cell range, equal symbol. If there's mistakes in any of these, you will not be getting even a single mark. Right, let's go for the next question. Assume that the formula entered, assume that the formula entered into cell F18 is copied to cell G18. Should the capital name be in all capital? No. If you want, you can mention capital, simple, mix. There is no issues. Okay. So they are saying they're going to copy the formula from F18 cell and paste it into G18 cell. Write down the formula displayed in cell G18. Normally, when you get copy pasting scenarios, keep one thing in your mind. Okay. When you copy values from one cell to another cell, first of all, tell me if the cell contains just what you call a label. Normally, if you take a spreadsheet, there are three types of things. There are three types of data a spreadsheet can contain. A cell can contain. A cell can contain a label. A cell can contain a value, or a cell can contain a formula. Let's say a cell contains a label. For example, let's say in this spreadsheet, yeah, where's my mouse? Now in this cell sheet, you have this month, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, total sales, projected sales. These are called labels. January, February, March, April, total sales. Okay. These all these text you can see here. These are all called normal labels in spreadsheet. Tell me, when you copy a label from one cell to another cell, when you copy a label from one cell to another cell, for example, I copy this text called October, right? And if I paste this text called October here, will it change? Will it be October here and another text here? Will labels change when you copy from one cell to another cell? No, it will not change. Now, for example, if you take the spreadsheet, apart from that, I have mentioned here values 1005, 1008, 1006. I have mentioned values here. No? These values, these are not formulas, these are values, right? These values, if I copy from this cell and paste it here, will the value change? No, the values will not change. But in spreadsheet, if there's a formula, okay, again, keep in mind only formulas. If there's a formula in one cell, now, for example, in the cell F18, we wrote a formula like this. No, we wrote a formula like this. There's one thing you have to keep in mind in spreadsheets when you copy paste a formula, there is something that will change. Okay, there's something that will change. Everything in the formula will not change. Only the cell addresses in the formula will change. For example, you can have a formula as well. For example, let's say I mentioned a formula like equals 5 times 3. Now, if I have a formula like this, if I copy this from one cell and paste it to another cell, will there be a difference? Will the formula change? No. If I have something like this equals sum, let's say 10, 3, 7. If I copy this from one cell and paste it to another cell, will it change? Again, no. Then what did I say little? What did I tell little change when you copy and paste a formula? Only the exactly only the cell address. Also, only the cell address that are relatively reference. Yes, some are that are relatively reference. Only these will be changed, right? But yes, exactly. This the cell address without the dollar symbol. Only those will get changed, right? Now, if you look at the F18 cell, now let me show you how you can answer those kind of questions, right? Look at the board, look at the screen. And then you get these questions like a value is copied from one cell to another cell, a formula is copied from one cell to another cell. The first thing you're going to figure out is the copying cells to pasting cell. How can you go to that cell? Now, if you notice a scenario, we are copying the formula from the F18 cell. So I'm going to write F18. We are going to paste this value in the G18 cell. So the first thing you're going to do is figure out how can I go from the copying cell to the pasting cell? How can I go from here to here? We're now going to figure out this. You have to keep in your mind how you're going to tell it is based on directions and steps. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Now, if I want to go to from F18 cell, if I want to go to G18 cell, tell me, are there any changes in terms? When I'm going from F18 cell, I'm going to G18 cell. Is there a change in column? Yes. Am I going to go to a column towards my right hand side, or am I going to go to a column towards my left hand side? Yes, I'm going to go to a column that is my right hand side. So you just mentioned right arrow here. How many cells I have jumped towards the right to go from F18 to G18? How many cells I have jumped towards the right? Yes. This is F18. This is G18. To go from just one towards the right. So I'm going to mention that here. Apart from that, that's a horizontal movement of right or left is horizontal movement. Are there any vertical movements here? Vertical movements, am I going to go up or down anywhere? No. So I'm going to mention that there is no any vertical movements. Okay. So what I have done here is I have figured out the change. That is to go from the copying cell to pasting cell. Should I go right side or left side? If I'm going right side, how many cells I have to jump towards the right? Or if I'm going left side, how many cells I have to jump for the left? Or if I'm going top, like for example, there are scenarios I had to go right and then I had to go top, or I had to go right, I had to go bottom. Likewise, you're going to figure out what is the direction you're going to go and how many steps you have to jump. Is that part clear, all of you? So first step is how to go from copying cell to pasting cell. Second step, what you're going to do is you're going to apply the change. Aisha, yes. Apply change to cell addresses in formula. Now, if you take our question, the formula we wrote in F18 cell, okay, the formula we wrote in F18 cell is what? Equal sum F2 to F13, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply that change to every cell address I have. Look at the formula I wrote and tell me what are the cell addresses you can see in the formula I wrote. Look at this formula and tell me what are the cell addresses you can notice here. Yes, F2 is one cell address, F13 is another cell address. So let's apply for the cell address, let's apply this change. Now the change I have mentioned is what? Go one cell towards the right. Tell me from the F2 cell, if you go one cell towards the right, what is the cell we have? From the F2, you go one cell towards the right. What do you have next? Double check alphabets A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Exactly. You have G2. Perfect. And then from the F13 cell, if I go one cell towards the right, what will I have? Yes, I have the G13 cell. So I have applied that change to our cell address. And now I have my answer as equal sum G2 to G13. This is how you do these copy pasting questions. Is that clear, all of you? Got it? Yes, Riska. Okay, perfect. So if you got that correct, mark it correct. In which situation do we use the dollar symbol? Dollar symbol is used for absolute cell reference. That is, if you want to keep something fixed. Just here change cell address only. Exact. The cell address that are relatively referenced only. If it's absolute cell reference, it works a bit different. That is, your ignore the dollar symbol is protecting it. Okay. If the dollar symbol is there in front of 2, it's protecting 2. If dollar symbol is there in front of F, it's protecting F from getting changed. So normally dollar symbol will be there in front of what it's protecting, right? So this is protecting the column name, this is protecting the row number. So if it's protecting the column name won't change. If it's protecting the row number won't change. So if the dollar symbol is there, then if dollar symbol is there front of the column name, this doesn't change. Row number, this doesn't change. When we come across absolute cell reference question, I'll show you. Next, write down a formula in the form of equals function cell 1 to cell 2 that should be entered in cell F14 to get the total sales for Q1. Okay. Again, if you want to find the total of a range of values, what is the function we're going to use? we're going to use the sum function. And then look at the spreadsheet and tell me the Q1 sales are there in which cell range? The Q1 sales are there in which cell range? There are two places you can find it. One is you can find it here from B2 to B4. Another thing is you can find it here as well. Okay, you can find here and here. So you can write either one of that cell range. I'm going to just stick with this without just mentioning both. I'm going to stick with this. But again, you can mention this cell range or you can mention this cell range as well. Both are correct. So if I'm going to take the left side, the blue color highlighted cell range, that is from B2 to B4. So I'm going to mention my answer here as equal sum B2 to B4. If you all got this correct, mark 2 marks. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Write down the formula. Can we mention any 4 of the Q? After the class, watch this recording. I would have mentioned what is the meaning of Q1, what is the meaning of Q2, what is the meaning of Q3, and what is the meaning of Q4. Then you will not ask that question. Write down the formula in the form of equals function cell 1 to cell 2 that should be entered in cell G20. So G20 is here out of the spreadsheet to calculate the highest projected sales for 2024 based on the given projections. First of all, if you want to find the highest value out of a range of cells, what is the function we have to use? Yes, we have to use the max function. And then what is the cell range containing the projected? I mean, 2024 we have projected the sale. The 2024 every month sale is there in which cell range? Yes, every month cell range is there in every month's sales is there in this green color cell range, which is from G2 to G13. This is from G2 to G13. So here mention here equals max G2 to G13. A quick question. For this, actually, now in the earlier scenario for the sum, I told you can choose either the total of each month, or you can say I told total of every quarter. Both of them are acceptable. In this question, the question number Roman number 4, for that question, can you take this cell range containing the totals every quarter? Can you take this cell range? No, because we don't want the highest quarter. In which quarter was the highest total sales? We don't want that. We want in which month, what is the highest value per month, right? So that's why it's only G2 to G30. Next, assume that, so if you got that correct, again 2 marks. I have mentioned the marks here, so if it's correct, you can write the mark the respective marks, okay? Assume that the projected sales for 2024 are expected to increase by 10% each month compared to 2023. Write down a formula that should be entered in the G2 to calculate. So G2 is okay. So basically, this is actually a formula. This value of 1600, it was obtained from a formula, it seems, right? So they're asking us to write down a formula that should be entered in cell G2 to calculate the projected sales for January 2024. And they have mentioned to assume certain stuff. That is, the percentage increase is mentioned in cell I2. Okay. Now, what is the percentage increase? What is the value they have mentioned? Yes, they have mentioned this as 10%. I'll be asking you a quick question. If you take, I said a cell can contain 3 types of data. It can contain labels, it can contain values, it can contain formula. Now, based on that, tell me, if you take values can contain what only? If you take a value can contain only what? Only numbers. Only numbers. Now, if I go and type this thing called 10%, if I go to a cell and if I go and type 10 and the percentage symbol, I'm going to type the number 10 as well as percentage symbol. If I go and type this whole thing, tell me, will this be considered as a value or will this be considered as a label? it will be considered as a label. Okay. So if I want a cell to have 10%, if I want that cell to have percentage as well, in your spreadsheet, there's something called as number formats. I'll show you an example. If I go to my spreadsheet, there's something called cell formatting. In that, there's something called number formats. So what I can do is I can select a cell, I can go to format, and there's something called number format. I can go and tell what type of value this cell is going to contain. So if I go and select here percentage, what's going to happen is it will automatically enter that percentage symbol. See, if I go and type, I'm going to type here 10. See, I did not type that percentage symbol. I just type 10, but automatically it shows me there as percentage. If you take this cell is not a. I'll show you the difference. Then you can see properly. Why is my percentage symbol not typing? I'll type and show the percentage symbol. Then you can see the difference. Huh? Percentage. Percent. I think I have to the on-screen keyboard because my keyboard's percentage is not showing. No, in my keyboard there's certain keys which don't work. On-screen keyboard. Shift and percentage. Okay. Now normally it depends on sometimes it will automatic. Now if you see currently there's something called the format is automatic. So because the format is automatic, sometimes it'll automatically guess that it is a what do you call percentage. But let's say I'm going to take this plain text. Okay. Now this is a plain text, and for this cell, what I have done is I have formatted it as a percentage. Okay. So if I mention a equals, let me get the equal symbol. If I mention a equals, this one, let's say into 2, and if I mention, okay, it's working here because it's considered as automatic. But in general, normally what happens is this will be considered as a text, and this will be considered as a percentage. So what I want to tell you here is when you take a percentage, if the cell has been formatted, if I go to format and if I may have made it percentage, the meaning of this is not 10. The meaning of this is what? 10%. No. So if you take 10%, tell me, is 10% equal to 10 or is 10% equal to 10 divided by 100? What is the value of 10%? The first one or the second one? Exactly. The value of 10% is 10 out of 100. 10 out of 100. Right? The value of 10%, 10 out of 100. Now, based on that, tell me, if a cell has this value called 10%, let's say we have a cell, in that cell we have this value entered as 10% like this, formatted this percentage, everything fine. Okay. If I have such a cell, tell me, when I'm multiplying, now for example, to find the percentage increase, they're asking here to find the percentage increase. No. So let's say I want to find how much got increased. Let's forget about the question answering, but let's say I want to find how much got increased. If I want to find how much got increased, tell me, should I multiply G2 into, sorry, not G2, F2 into I2? Should I do this one, answer number 1, or should I mention F2 into I2 divide by 100? I'm not asking the final answer. I'm asking if I want to find how much got increased, right? If I want to find how much got increased, should I mention the first answer or second answer? Exactly. I had to mention the first answer. The reason why I'm not taking divide by 100 is because the cell has a value 10%. 10% is already 10 divided by 100. It is not just 10, it is already having 10 divided by 100. The value I2 cell already has 10 divided by 100. It's not having the number 10, it's having 10 divided by 100. Because why? It's a percentage. So therefore, in spreadsheet, you get these questions having percentage, don't mention this divide by 100. Is that clear, all of you? Okay, perfect. Now, another question for you. If I, for this is where you have to use a maths knowledge. Huh? This is where you have to use it. This is basic maths knowledge, not a complex maths knowledge. Now, if I take the value in the F2 cell, which is January's total sales. Huh? If I take January's total sales, and if I multiply that by I2 value, I will be getting the I'll be getting the amount increased. I'll be getting the amount increased. So for example, if you notice here, the I2 cell has sorry, F2 cell has 1500 now. So if I multiply F2 with I2, that's going to be basically 1500 into 10%. That's going to give me 150. Yeah, that's going to give me 150. I don't want this value of 150. I want this value of 1650 because I want the total sales because it's going to increase by 150 now. The question had mentioned is that it's going to increase by 10%, meaning it's going to increase by 150. If it's going to increase by 150, that means the next year the value is going to be 1500 plus 150, which is 1650. I want the cell to show this 1650, not this 150. Okay, I want the cell to show the 1650, not this 150. Then what is the change I have to do? Without just multiplying F2 into I2, I have to do something else. What should I do? This is where you use your maths knowledge. Without just mentioning F2 and I2, I'll do something else. There are two possible ways. Based on how good you are at maths, you will tell it. But yeah. For example, what I mean is, I'm saying there's a product that's for 100 rupees. Okay. You're gonna increase the price of this product by 10%. So 10% of 100 rupees is 10 rupees. The price of the product is 100 rupees. You're going to increase it by 10. I am asking what will be the value after you increase? Something like that. Yes. You have two methods you can do this. One method you can do this is like this. The easiest method you can do this. Let's avoid maths. Let's take the basic IT knowledge and do this. Let's see you are very bad at maths. So easiest way you can do this is you can do something like this. Equals instead of just mention equals F2 into I2, you can mention the answer is equals F2 plus F2 into I2. This is the answer which has no maths in it. This is basic general knowledge. Okay. So what's happening here is in this part you're finding the amount that got increased. Okay. The 1500 into 10%. That's going to be happening in this part. And amount increase, you're going to add that to the current value. So add both of them together, you will be able to get the projected sales for 2024 for the January month in the F2 cell. Sorry, in the G2 cell. Is that clear, all of you? So this is a less complex, less mathematical part. F2 plus I2. If you just multiply F2 and I2, that's why I saw F2 into I2. If you just multiply F2 and I2, you'll get only the amount increased. Shouldn't we put sum or anything, sir? No. Sum is addition, addition, which is the multiplication. Other method is you're going to use 100 plus what do you call 10 divided by 100. You know what is the math method you'll use? Okay, I'll just show this other method like you're going to use maths. But don't use it. Avoid using it. Other method is something like this. F2 into I2 plus 1. Let me double check this. Equals 100 into this. This should give me 10. Correct. Equals B3 into A plus 1. Yeah. Proud that my maths is working properly. Okay. Plus 1. Not plus 100. Huh? Not plus 100. If I am going to explain why is it not plus 100, then it will become a maths class, which I don't. That's why I want to make it as less as complex as possible. Why plus 1? That's why if I'm going to explain why it's plus 1, shall I explain why it's plus 1? But they all can't score me, it's a maths class. Huh? Okay. Normally, you do something like this. No, you will take equals B3 into 110 over 100. No, this is a normal process you might do. No, now the thing is, we don't have it as 100 plus 10. We can't take here but A1 plus I because now we have already 10. Now I can break this into 2, right? I can break this into 100 out of 100 plus 10 out of 100. Is that correct? You'll understand this part. I can break 110 out of 100 as 100 out of 100 plus 10 out of 100. Is that part clear? You can break it like this, killer. Because if you add these two get together, what is the answer you're going to get? If you add these two together, you're going to get 110 out of 100. I hope you all know fractions additions, right? So I'm going to, if I break this into 2, I have it like this. Now the value of 10 out of 100 I have in a cell. What is the cell I have the value of 10 out of 100? In the previous scenario, that question. In that question, in which cell did I have 10 out of 100? Exactly, I2 cell. So I can rewrite this as 100 out of 100 plus I2. I can rewrite 100 out of 100 into something else. What is it? What is the value of 100 divided by 100? It is 1. That is why I wrote 1 I2 plus 1 into V3. Got it? But for this, you have to have a bit of maths knowledge to understand what's exactly happening here. If you understood, good. If you did not understand, forget. Unwanted. Understood that? Why I wrote 1. But will the examiners mark this correct? Yeah, obviously. As long as examiners are good in might and mighty both, good. But again, don't take that risk. Always don't be too much intelligent. Okay. Best is do the easiest possible way. Don't make things complex. Power no, that examiners. For us, you're also going to lose the marks. Because if they're fair in maths, you try explaining for them, and they will be like, oh, yeah, and they will put you out. Why unwanted problem for us? If we use $I2, is it wrong? Actually, that's not my final answer. You have to use $I2 only. Okay, that's what I'm going to come for the next thing. But this is not the final answer. I can't directly mention F2 into I2. There's a small issue. Let me address the issue now. The issue is basically, if you read this question properly, they have mentioned that the formula entered in G2 will get updated. That's fine. Consider that the formula entered in cell G2 would be copied to the remaining months as well. Now, I told you earlier, when you copy a formula from one cell to another cell, something gets changed. What will get changed? In the formula, which part will get changed? Yes, I told you the cell addresses will get changed. And it will get changed based on our movements, which means if I go one cell down, okay, if I copy to a cell one cell down, even the cell address will go one cell down, something like that. Now, if I copy this formula from G2, if I copy to G3, it means if I go one cell down, F2 will become F3, and I2 will become what? I2 will become, if I go one cell down, I2 will become I3. But in the question, they have mentioned the percentage increase is mentioned only in the I2 cell. The percentage increase mentioned I2 cells, which means I don't want the I2 to change. Which means I don't want that I2 to change the formula. Okay, I want to keep fixed. If you want to keep something fixed, if you want to, when you're copy pasting, I told you cell address get changed. No? If you want to keep it fixed, that is where we use the dollar symbol. If I'm using dollar symbol, then that type of referencing is called absolute cell referencing. Give me a minute, guys. Rizlan is calling. He never calls at this time. Hello. Give me 1 minute. There is a small person going to get heart attack in 5 minutes, it seems. We have projected the disease. So I'm going to do a projected medicine. You heard a sound now a while ago, right? You might hear that sound in another 5 minutes as well. Give me 1 minute and this is done. Not who got the heart attack, man. I said projected sales, projected disease. In 5 minutes, in another 4 minutes, they'll start to get. Go, man, go. Why? At 7 o'clock, I'll tell you why. Quickly, man. Medicine is not going now. Okay, 90% is gone. What is going on? At 7 o'clock, I'll tell you. Wait. Yeah. Okay. So I'll come to the point now. So if you what you can do is you can do something called absolute cell referencing. In absolute cell referencing, we use a dollar symbol first thing, and if we use a dollar symbol to keep something fixed. What I mean by keep something fixed is making sure something doesn't change. Now I don't want the I2 to get changed. Okay. Now when I copy from one cell to another, like the G2 cell, G3 cell, G4 cell. Okay. If I copy this formula for other months as well, like from here, if I copy it here, 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 if I copy and go, what will happen is because we are jumping rows, even in the cell address, the row only get changed. In the cell address, the row only get changed. So to keep the row fixed, what you can do is you can write the answer like this. To keep the row fixed, you can write the answer like this into I $2. Okay. Actually, you can include dollar in front of I as well, but it is not compulsory. I'm talking what is compulsory. Huh? What is compulsory is to include the dollar symbol before number two, right? The reason is because when you copy from one cell to another cell down, 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 and go, what happens is the row changes. To make sure the row number doesn't change, I have mentioned here the dollar symbol in front of the row number. So this is because of this, when I copy from one cell to another cell, it doesn't get changed. Is that clear of you? Understood why I wrote the dollar symbol there? So 2 is protected or is protected. 2 is protected. I said dollar is written. Always think dollar as a bodyguard. Normally, let's say there is a big person coming. Okay, there is a let's say there's a war going here, and for this war, there is let's say the president coming. If you want to safeguard the president, you have to be there in front of the president. Then only if someone is coming to attack the president, you can save it, right? So basically, the dollar symbol is written in front of what you want to protect. Got it? Right. Y2, again, I2 cell we have that this one when percentage. Read the question. I'm pretty sure you joined in the last moment. If we include, wait, what was the question? If we include something unnecessary, is there any possibility to get wrong? It's like this. For this question, you can mention I2. You can mention dollar $I, $2 as well. Both are correct. Like for example, you can mention like this as well. Equals F2 plus F2 into dollar $I, $2. This is also correct. You can choose anything you want. There is no big differences. Let's say we're going to stick with this film. Is that clear, all of you? Is that clear? Yes or no? $7 o'clock. It's actually 7. You want to know what is it? You really want to know what is it? You really want to know what is it? 100% sure? You want to know what is it? Once my status get posted, I'll tell you. Loading, loading, loading. Loading, loading, loading. It is regarding the. I'll just put another phone as income. It will not give heart attack for y'all. It will be giving heart attack for someone else. Yes, the awards day for the all of the 23. Liz Lance's number has posted it. A day caption. You should not put the caption like this, man. You. Faiza answer was telling odd day on the. Wait, I'll go and modify that film. This is supposed to be a very surprise for you. Anyways, fine. That's regarding what I want to tell you. Posted it. It's there in one of the channels. This is it. So I can show you. I love the blur and show you. I don't still have it in my laptop because it's in the phone. Yeah. So there was happening in BMICH this time as well. The master. That's my endless dances. Anyways, yes, at BMICH as usual. We walk the talk. Not walk the talk. Actually, we are selling a lot of kidneys and we're going to go for CBMICH. That's the reality. It is. Coming back to the topic. Okay, so that's there regarding that. Yes, I'll be giving the time to private. Book fair. Where the hell is bug living, man? The last couple years, we are all our awards day. Even your awards day, inshallah. Okay. You all also, if you all produce very good results, only A. For BCS, no, we don't give the awards. No. If you get A, you will be entitled award on top of the stage at BMICH. So the last 2 years in BMICH. Before that, it was happening. It happened somewhere else. But last 2 years, it happened in BMICH. For your batch also, yes. But there are several conditions. You should have been a theory class student of us for more than 6 months. You should have got an A. And likewise, there are some conditions that has to have that we'll be putting. Other than increase, because we want to show the solid people only. Anyways, same thing will happen for you all also. My theory class students, mine Rizlances, all of our theory class students. Actually, only both of us. Only both of us will be in the awards season. Your awards will be there at BMICH. So make sure study hard and get an A for ICT and Maths so that you all can come and get your results, get your award. Not only for A's, even if you get 9 A's, there is a separate award as well. All that. You can go to YouTube and search for the OLED Plus Awards Day and see. But this time it's not OLED Plus Awards Day, it's Master Awards Day. IT and Maths from Master. Yes, only IT and Maths. Only IT and Maths. Just 2 subjects. Let's see if it increases, but for now only 2 subjects. Anyways, enjoy. Look at focus. Last question. Write on the most suitable chart type available in spreadsheet software for the following. to show the trend of both 2023 and 2024. Okay. If you want to show the trend of sales, which means you want to show the variation, that means, for example, first year 1005, then next month 1008, 1600. If you want to show the trend, that means if you want to show these variations, technically, if it's only 2023, okay, let's say if it's only 2023, you all have learned this line chart, bar chart, column chart. You all can use any charts apart from pie chart. You can use apart from pie chart, any chart you can actually use. But there is a problem. In your syllabus, you have learned only the normal types of charts: normal bar chart, normal line chart, normal column chart. There is something called stacked bar chart, stacked column chart, stacked line charts. Only if you have these stacked charts, you can have variations. I'll show you what I mean by what you call multiple variations. Now, for example, if you take my let's take one statistic. I'll show you one statistic so you'll understand that. Let's take grade 11 at 12th. Grade 11 ICT at 12th. Now you can see a chart here. Okay. If you look at this chart, there is one line called green color, one line called blue color. Okay. Now in blue color, you can see January, February, March, April. How was my payments? Sorry, green color, you can see my attendance in January, February, March, grade 11 ICT. The January, how was attendance? You can see. See, January, there was, sorry, in February, January, there was 39. February, it became 44. March, it has become 39. Then 40. Then 39. Then 40. Then 41, then 54, then 55. You can see the variations, right? Now, if it's only one, now in your syllabus, by default, you have learned only that one variation, the one line. Now, there is something called stacked chart where you can include multiple ones, but technically, you have not learned in your syllabus that you have learned normal. So, if you create a stacked chart, you can see you can have one color for one line, another color for another line. Actually, in my scenario here, green is for the attendance and blue is for the payments. That's the meaning of these two lines. But keeping that thing aside, this is available only in something called as a stacked chart. Like you can have stacked bar chart, stacked line chart, stacked column chart. You can have any type of stacked chart. Okay. But in your syllabus, out of the charts you all have learned, there is a chart you all have learned called as XY scatter chart. 2025 wise. You all have learned a chart called as XY scatter chart. I would recommend you all to use XY scatter chart here. The reason is because this is how an XY scatter chart would look like. You'll have values here. So let's say 5, 10, 15. Here you might have January, February, March. The XY scatter chart you show this. For January, you got 5. For February, you got 6. For March, you got 15. And we'll tell the red is representing 2023. And to represent 2024, we might use a different circle or a different shape. I mean, different color or different shape. So I can say in January, we had in 2024, in January itself, we had 7. In 2024, in February, we had equal 7. In March, we had a drop. It became 10. Okay. That is how the XY scatter chart would look like. Is that clear of you? 17, right? 714. What? When it's very fast. I'll give time to play with the last one. How many A's this time? There was more than 40, but I'll be filtering. I see the 6-month condition. So even though there's more than 40, it will be reducing. I'll publish that later on. Anyways, so the most suitable chart I will tell here is XY scatter chart. But apart from XY scatter, you can mention your other chart like bar chart, column chart. But if you mention bar chart, column chart, line chart, you should make sure you mention stacked bar chart, stacked column chart, and stacked line chart. What time is Azan? Azan is 7:14. After that, I'm doing this question. I'll give you time to play. Don't worry. Keep in mind, pie chart is not suitable to compare values. Whenever they say the word comparing values, don't use pie chart. You use pie chart only if you want to represent or else show values. If you want to represent values or show values, only for these purpose, pie chart can be used. When they say the word compare, pie chart is not used to is not suitable to compare values. Not that you can't, but that is not very suitable. The suitable ones are all other charts except pie chart. Is that clear, all of you? Right. Next. And another thing in pie chart, it's difficult to show. You have something called stacked pie chart as well. But again, that is not very suitable to when there is multiple values like 2023 and 2024. It will be like two lines. No. So in pie chart, that's not suitable. To compare the sales for each month. Again, here also, because we are comparing the sales for each month, you can mention any chart except pie chart. Is that clear, all of you? Okay. I'll give you a time to pray, but before that, tell me out of 10 marks, how many marks you'll get here, all of you? I'll give Shima as soon as possible. Okay, good. The first one, all about area chart. Again, if you're mentioning area, bar chart, column chart, you will be getting marks. But the correct word you're mentioning is stacked area chart, stacked bar chart, stacked column chart. If you want, let is two pair of values. I wrote correctly, but my answer is marked as false. What do you write? $2. Maybe it's a mistake in the marking. I'll check that. I'll check that. Anu, you have mentioned multiple. Anu, you have mentioned it correctly. I'll check. Shulak, I'll check. I'll check. Okay, so these are correct marks. Okay. I'll give you a time to pray and come. Others, those who are done praying or those who are not praying, you can do this question. So you can, I'll give you 5 minutes to pray and 5 minutes to do this question. So by, I'll give a, yeah, it's 7:11 now. I'll give you a time till 7:20 to do this question. Do this question before 7:20 p.m. I tried doing the question, I got wrong. How much marks you got, so? I'll quickly pray and come because in 3 minutes, wait. I'll come and I'll answer questions, wait. Others, I want you to do this question before 7:20 p.m. Quick. Okay. Those who are done with this question, raise your hands up. Yes, yes, I'll have it. They have its packed inside. I'll send it the PDF soon. No mail count. Um, I'll search it over. It's not posted in the IT channel. Yeah, just now I put in my other number stated. Wait, one by one posting. Rizlanza gave his phone to, his phone is not with me. His phone is somewhere else. And how you posted? I did not post it. I sent it to the person who should post it. I told you, give me a minute. In that minute, what I was doing is I only had the video because my phone has video. What I was sending the video to someone else. There are 2 more minutes. Quick. Correct now. Yeah, correct. We'll have a minute more. Quickly answer. Okay, time up. Let's check your answers. Answer following database questions based on tables given below. Name two primary keys along with their table name in the above database. Normally, if you take a database, primary keys are used to uniquely identify every record. So the record is a row in a table. Okay. So if you take this table, in the teachers table, you can uniquely identify every teacher using their ID. Every teacher is going to be given a ID number. So in the teachers table, this is going to be considered as a primary key. Similar in the class table, to identify every class, there's something called class ID. No. Yeah. To identify every class, there's something called class ID. So class ID is going to be a primary key. Every class is going to have a unique ID. In the students table, again, you can see there's something called ID. So the ID is going to be and every student has unique ID. So the in the students table, ID is a primary key. So whenever you get this primary key question, if you just tell ID or just class ID, you will not be getting marks. You always mention the field name along with the table name, right? So here the answer would be give me a moment. Tick, 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 tick. Done. So here, if you take the field name, you can tell ID in teacher table. Always spellings is an important factor they'll be checking in these questions. Simple capital is not an issue, but spellings is an issue. Another thing you can mention is ID in student table. Another thing you can mention is class ID in class table. Okay. If you had mentioned 2 out of them, you will be getting the marks here. Is that clear of you? This inverted comma is not important. I just added for fun. But yeah. Clear of you? I wrote a status ID table. Yeah, it's correct. Okay. You have to make sure the field name and table name both are mentioned. Then question number 2. Yeah, you can use arrow as well. That's fine. As long as the field name and table name both are mentioned, you're good to go. Define what a foreign key is. For normally, if you want to form relationships between table, for example, you can see here there's something called in the classes, in the class table, I have mentioned something called teacher ID. Okay. What I mean by that is I want to connect these two tables, which means I want to show that grade 10 I3 is taught by Raj Kumar. Grade 11 I3 is taught by, again, Raj Kumar. Grade 10 maths is taught by Amal Pereira. I want to show that actually in this class table as well. Okay, I want to form a relationship there. To form the relationship, if you notice here, without mentioning the teacher's name, without mentioning name here, I have mentioned the teacher's ID. Okay, I have mentioned the teacher's ID. So in that case, what I can do is I can figure out, okay, grade 10 I3 is taught by the teacher 100, 1000. Grade 11 teachers, grade 11 is also taught by the teacher 100. Grade 10 maths is also grade 10 maths is taught by 1001. Now I can take these values and go for the teacher table and figure out what is their actual name, what is their address, or any other details about them. I can figure it out, right? There is a reason we actually don't mention these teachers' name. The reason we don't mention teacher's name there is because imagine if I mention name here, like teacher's name. Let's say Rajkumar has changed his name to something else. Okay. Now if Rajkumar changed his name, I have to update it in this table as well as this table. Unwanted work for me. Always you want to make sure whenever some changes happen, without making a change to 1,000 tables, it should be a situation where you can make only one table change, right? So because of that, only instead of mentioning what you call values that can change, we mention here the values that doesn't get changed. For example, tell me, I have mentioned a teacher ID, right? Will this teacher ID ever get changed? Think nicely. Will this value in teacher ID get changed? It can get changed. In this table, it can get changed. Right? For example, let's say now earlier Rajkumar was teaching grade 10 ICT. Now let's say John Silva is changing. So you'll go and make this 100 to 1001, right? This can change. That can change. But tell me, will the teacher ID change here? No. For example, if Rajkumar comes and tell he's changing his name, how many tables I have to update currently? Only one table. But if I had mentioned teacher's name here and teacher's name here in the class table, both the tables, if I had mentioned the name, in that case, how many tables I have to update? Two. It's unwanted work. So always what we do is when we want to form a relationship, that means if I want to show, okay, Raj Kumar is teaching this subject, Amal, what I do is I will take the primary key of Raj Kumar. That means if I take this field teacher called Raj Kumar, what is unique about him? So you can see his primary key. The primary key of Raj Kumar is his ID. So I'm going to mention his teacher's ID here. I'm going to mention that The teacher 1001 is teaching the subject killer. So always when you want to form relationship between tables, I want to connect the teacher table and class table. When you want to form relationship between tables, what you do is you take the primary key of a table and record the primary key only on the new table. See, I have mentioned the primary key. The teacher is the primary key. I have mentioned the primary key only in this new table here. Okay. So when you mention a primary key of a table in another table, when you go and mention the primary key into a new table, in a new table, this will be called as a foreign key. This will be called as a foreign key. So based on that, you can see all the foreign keys. Any foreign key you come across is all the foreign keys you have is a primary key of another table. Okay, always keep in mind foreign keys are primary keys of another table. Primary keys of another table that is used to form relationships between table. Okay, so I'm using a foreign key. So teach ID is a foreign key. Now teach ID is a foreign key in which table? The teach ID is a foreign key in which table? Yes, in the class table only it's a foreign key. Is it a foreign key in teacher table? No, I told you, see, in the new table only the primary key is going to be a foreign key here. In the new table, it's a foreign key. So therefore, when they ask example for the foreign key, you can mention here teacher ID in class table. Is that clear, all of you? A quick question. Now, based on the answer I wrote for defining what a foreign key is, I wrote like a long answer. No, based on that, if they break this question, now here I wrote the full answer. They can break this into two answers. When they ask you what is a foreign key, you can simply tell it's a primary key of another table. And if they ask you what is the purpose of a foreign key, what is the purpose of foreign key? To do what? Between to build a relationship, to form relationship between what? Yes, between tables. Now the teacher ID field, it is forming a relationship between what table and what table. If you take this field called teacher ID, it is forming a relationship between what table and what table. Exactly. Teacher table and class table. Perfect. Is that clear, all of you? Got it? What do you mean by foreign key and the example of foreign key here and the purpose of foreign key as well? Perfect. So answer is teacher ID in class table. Again, you have to mention the field name and the table name as well. A quick question. As it's 7:30, do you all want me to explain this now? It'll take me around 10 minutes in total. Or do you want this to start next week? You ask what do I prefer? I prefer do it now. Okay, let's do it now. So I'll end the class 10 minutes later. Yes, sir. The day the class is held, example Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the fees of the class has to be, sir, is it wrong if I write ID in student table as a foreign key? Okay, if you are telling ID in student table is a foreign key, tell me this is a primary key in which table? I told you always foreign key is a primary key of another table. So if you are saying this is a primary key, foreign key, then tell me in which table is this a primary key? Which table? You're telling me that ID is a foreign key in students table. So if you're saying it's a foreign key there, in which table is it a primary key is my question. No answer, ne? See, always keep in mind, foreign key is a primary key of another table. See, it's a primary keys of another table. So if you're saying that ID is a foreign key, then you should have the answer to tell in which key is it a, in which table is it a primary key. That's why that is wrong. Is that clear? Understood why the answer is wrong? Perfect. Right. The day the class is held and the fees of the class have to be included in the database. What table is appropriate to include it? Okay. I want to mention the what day the class is held and the fees of the class. Which table is suitable for this? Exactly. If you take the day the class is held and the fees, these are two datas relevant to a teacher, or are these two datas relevant to a student, or are these two datas relevant to a class? If they ask the definition for foreign key, can we write there is a primary key in another table? Do you want a magnifying glass? Or can't you read what I wrote here? That is what I wrote there. I mean, it's a primary key of another table, Gela. That is what you mean by foreign key. What are you listening? Okay, anyways, keep that thing aside. If you take day and fees, they are details regarding whom? Regarding student, class, or teacher? Exactly, it's details regarding the class. So obviously, we have to update the class table. Simple. One of you said student. A quick question. What is the connection of day and fees in student name? Whatever made you think that you're up in student table? Are there details about the student? You will mention, this student will come every Mondays. This student will pay only 500 rupees. He doesn't have more than that in his pocket. Keep in your mind always, answering questions. Anyways, write down the suitable data types respectively for them. Right. To store the day, now if you take database, the data types we have in a database are, we have something called text, we have something called numeric, we have something called currency, we have something called date time, and we have something called boolean. Out of them, tell me for the day, for the field called day, what is the most suitable data type? So ID is a primary foreign key name. You have marked as primary. In which table did you find ID as a foreign key? Just now I told one fellow I proved that ID is not a foreign key. Just now, not even 5 minutes. Again, you're asking me that now. Adi, when you are writing foreign key, primary key, don't go and say, they have this ID here, they have this ID here. They have what you call name here, name here. Use your brain and answer the question, man. You we don't take the name of the column, not the name of the column, the meaning of that data. Okay, just because you have ID here and ID here doesn't mean both of them have the same meaning. The meaning of ID here is every teacher's ID. The meaning of ID here is every student's ID. See. Sad life. Anyways, I don't want this to be English class. Got it. Cool. Nice. Yeah. The most suitable data type for day is actually text. Perfect. What is the most suitable data type to store the fees? For fees, you can choose currency and numeric, both are correct. I would suggest using currency, but again, you can choose currency, numeric, both are correct. For the namesake, I'm going to choose currency here. But again, numeric is also correct. Huh? Just keeping it on updated. Currency is also correct. Numeric is also correct. Both are correct. If you ask me what is most suitable in context of Microsoft Access, in your syllabus you'll be learning Microsoft Access. No? So in context of Microsoft Access, then currency is suitable. But when you go for reality, when you go for A levels, all those stuffs, you'll be learning something called SQL database. In their currency is not there, so avoid Again, advance, forget. Why can't we use date time for days? That is because in date time, the formats we have, what do you mean by date time format? I ask now, if I ask you a question, what are the different date time formats? What are the date time formats you have? You can write the date time like this: date, month, year. Okay. Or else month, date, year. And different time formats are what? 19, 30, 00. Hours, minutes, seconds. Or 6 p.m. Hours, minutes, second, and this is called something. There's a name for this as well. Okay. These are different formats. So if you're going to mention something like this, date time like this, it's more suitable. But if you take Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there is no any date time like that. In date time, it's the different ways of writing days and different ways of writing time. Clear? Actually, there's a small loophole here. In certain programming language, not all, in certain programming languages, you can generate this MON, not Monday. The word MON you can generate using this. There's a function for datetime in certain program language. It's a small loophole. Avoid. Okay. Just because the certain program language have that, I would not recommend using it. So if it's a plain, always keep in mind, if it's a plain text, go for text. If it has only numbers, go for numeric. If it's having the currency, like dollar symbol, like a, or as LK or something, currency. If it is a date or time, like date, month, year, date, or hours, minutes, seconds, go for date time. For Boolean, you have only two things, that's true or false. True or else false. What is GIT? Where have I mentioned GIT? Then in a subject called GIT. That's in A-levels. It's general. It's like general knowledge about IT. It's a stupid exam. There is no worth on that. I mean, it's just nothing. It's like Baba IT. Anyways, focus here. Mr. John Silva has started teaching science for grade 10 students and grade 11 students. Which tables has to be updated to represent this? Okay, which table you have to update for this? Let me ask you all this question. I'll be asking you. I'll break this question to question by question. Huh? Should I update the students table? No, they are not told in details about a student. Should I update the teachers table? No. The reason is because they have mentioned a teacher called John Silva, right? John Silva. Has John Silva already been registered in our system as a teacher? Is there a teacher called John Silva already in our system? Yes. See, we already have. So because we already have John Silva as a teacher, we don't have to register him again. Okay, we don't need to register him again. In terms of class table, should I update the class table? Yes, exactly. I had to create a new class for grade 10 science. I had to create a new class for grade 11 science. And I had to mention for grade 10 science who is a teacher. For grade 11 science, who is a teacher, I had to mention. So first of all, which table has to be updated? I'm going to mention a class table. Again, same class table. And asking to show the updated records. For this, you can mention class table. One of the change that happened for the class table is you can redraw the table which is unwanted, but you can write it simply as table name and write every field's value. In the first field, we have class ID. So we can give a new class ID for the grade 10. So type C004. And the teacher ID is John Silva. What is John Silva's teacher ID? What is John Silva? What is ID? Look at the table name. What is ID? 1002. So I'm going to mention here 1002. And then what is the class? The class is going to be grade 10 science. And then I'm going to create a separate record for the grade 11 science. So class table, because these are two different classes. The class C005 done by John Silva. This class is called grade 11 science. always keep in mind when you take table, don't unwantedly put two data together. Some of you I noticed I'll put grade 10 and 11 science. No, each the 10 science is one class, 11 science is one class. That's why you can see for grade 10 ICT I have one class, for grade 11 ICT I have one. These are two different classes. So when I'm marking the attendance for grade 10 ICT, I'll be taking this fellow. If I'm going to mark attendance for grade 11, I'll take this fellow. These are not common. You can't put them together. Okay. So you should write one record for grade 10 science like this. So like this. And another record for grade 11 science like, highlight properly like this. Is that clear, all of you? Always make sure the table name is mentioned. See, I have mentioned class table, arrowhead, in brackets, every field's value. Class ID what field, teacher ID what field, class name what field. The value for every field, respectively, I have mentioned here. If you have any questions, drop in the chat. I'm going for the next one. Are those real house address? Yeah. I don't know. Go and see. For fun, I wrote. Explain what data redundancy is. Okay. Now, so data inconsistency. Wait, when creating database, it is important to avoid data inconsistency. Explain what data inconsistency is. I'll tell you one thing. A while ago, I told you that the reason why I mentioned teacher ID here, no, instead of mentioning teacher name, I told you what the reason. Let's say, imagine I have the teacher's name here in the teacher's table, as well as imagine I have the teacher's name in the class table. Imagine I have the teacher's name there and teacher's name here. So in how many places I have the teacher's name? In how many tables I have the teacher's name now? Yes, in two tables I have the teacher's name. Now let's say the teacher came and told, hey, I have changed my name. This is my new name. This is my new name. In how many tables I go and make the changes? Yes, in two tables I go and make the changes. Let's say Raj Kumar came and told me I have changed my name. Hereafter my name is, what do you call, give me a good name. Okay, here comes, I have changed my name to, the name is not giving a vibe. Okay, so Raj Kumar has changed his name to, let's say, okay, yes, good name. No, that was a case for a name. I was going to write that name, but then, no, let's say his name has got changed to, okay, good, easy, Ravi Kumar. He said I have changed my name from Raj Kumar to Ravi Kumar. Easy name. Okay. So now I have to update his name in how many tables? In two tables, right? In two tables are update. Let's say I forgot to update this in the class ID class table. I updated in the teachers table. In the teachers table, I have updated it. But in class table, I forgot to update it. In this scenario, if I go and find in the class table, if I go and find what you call who is teaching, let's say ICT, in the class table, it's showing that ICT is taught by Ravi Kumar, so Raj Kumar. But if I go now, let's say I want to find the address of the person who is teaching grade 10 ICT. Okay, I want to find the address of the person who is teaching grade 10 ICT. I come for the class table. It's mentioned that Raj Kumar is teaching ICT. Fine. I went to the teachers table to find the address. There is no teacher called Raj Kumar. There is no name called Raj Kumar. I'm confused. What mean? How come there is no teacher called Raj Kumar? I'm very confused. This is what we call as data inconsistency. A person's same data is stored in one table in one way, another table in another way. This is what we call as data inconsistency. Is that clear of you? Understood data inconsistencies? Even some of you all have this data inconsistency thing. For example, let's say I give you all the every week I give you all the worksheet. No, some of you all in the first when you're doing the worksheet today, you will be my name is what do you call MNM Amal. Second name, my name is MN Muhammad Amal. Week 2 worksheet. Week 3 worksheet, my name is Muhammad Nasser Muhammad Amal. I'm just putting random names. Huh? Sorry, M Nasser M Amal Kila. Next week he might put the name as Muhammad Amal M Nasser Kila. Same name only, but in every week worksheet, you're giving different names. This is what you call as data inconsistency. The same person's name, but is it consistent everywhere? Is his name the same in every database? In every table? Wait, Asara, I'll come to the answer. Poruma. Exactly, it's different, right? So data inconsistency is where the same data stored in different formats, stored in different formats in different tables. But I mean different formats in different ways. In one table, one way, his name is there. But the same person only, same bugger's name only is there in different tables in different ways. That is what we call as data inconsistency. Is that clear of you? Changing the father's name every week. No, it's the same name. See, every week it's the same name, man. See, M name Amal. Today his name is M Amal. Next time his name M Nasser M Amal. I'm just using random name. Next week he says my name is Mohammed N M Amal. It's a bloody same name. But he's not mentioning the name the same way every day. One day he's mentioning the first name, one day he might mention only Amal. The same bug only, but in one day he's coming in one names. It's the same name, he write in different formats. This is what you call as data inconsistency. Got it? Okay. Exactly. What are the possible reasons for data inconsistency? Now, I told you reason where data inconsistency was there, right? For example, in one table I had Raj Kumar, another table I had Ravi Kumar. Why did I have two different names here? What led to this? In the beginning itself, both was Raj Kumar only. In the beginning itself, both of them were Raj Kumar only. But what led to this change? Yes. The reason of what happened here is because of I changed his name. Okay. So normally when you are taking database, whenever you are storing data, I told you a while ago when you're storing data, we don't normally store the data directly. We don't store data that can get changed. If I want to store the same data in multiple places, okay. If I want to store the same data in multiple places, I always make sure I don't store the same data in multiple places if it's a data that can get changed. Now, if it's a data like your name, if I store the same name in multiple places, yes, the name get changed. So it is not suitable to mention. It is not suitable to mention the same data which could get changed in multiple places. But tell me, what if I what you call mention the same data in multiple tables? Okay, same data in multiple tables, but it does not get changed. For example, ID. See, I have mentioned ID. Now, if you take the question table, I have mentioned ID here, and I have mentioned the teacher's ID here as well. The same data. See, Rajkumar's ID is 1000. He also is mentioned 1000. The same data is stored in multiple tables. But will these data get modified? Will Rajkumar's ID ever get modified? Will Amal's ID ever get modified? Will John's ID ever get modified? The respective person's ID. Will that value of ID get modified? Like that person changing the name, will IDs get modified? No. Okay. One thing you want to keep in mind is when you're going to have, when you're going to, what do you call, have the same data, if you have same data stored in multiple tables, we call this as data redundancy. We call it data redundancy. Okay. So for example, ID being here and ID being here is actually data redundancy only. Whenever you're keeping a data redundancy, okay, when your table has data redundancy, you always keep in your mind one thing. Will this data ever get changed? So always you make sure if there is data redundancy, those data should be data that will not get modified. What I mean by not get modified is like the name changing. Okay, is that clear all of you? That's why I said it's not suitable to use the name there. Instead, to form the relationship, we are going to use the respective person's ID. Now, if we did not have the same person's data stored in multiple tables, okay, if we did not have the same person's data stored in multiple tables, will this data inconsistency happen? If I don't have Amal's name stored in multiple tables, Will it lead to data inconsistency? No. So therefore, you can tell one of the reasons for data inconsistency is data redundancy. Okay, but always data redundancy is, tell me, is always data redundancy a problem? No, always is not a problem. It will become a problem when you have unwantedly repeated the same data. I mean, unwantedly mentioned the same data in two tables. Okay, only if you have mentioned unwantedly same data in two tables, and if that data gets changed. There are two conditions. One is it will be a problem if you have unwanted data in multiple tables, unwantedly mention same data in multiple tables. And second thing is, and forget to modify one data when making changes. Okay. If you unwantedly mention the name in both the tables, and when Rajkumar changed his name, if you forget to make update one table, that is where it will become a problem. Tell me, did you understand where it will become a problem, all of you? When will data redundancy become a problem? Or when will data redundancy cause data inconsistency? Is that clear? Okay. A quick question for you all. Is data redundancy and data duplication, are both of them the same? No, they are different. In data duplication, in one table, the same data is duplicated multiple times. The same date in the same table, okay, in a specific table, if a data is mentioned more than once, the same data is duplicated more than once, not same data actually, the same record. If the same record is mentioned more than once, that is what you call as data duplication. In data redundancy, what happens is you mention the same data in multiple places. For example, I have your name here as well as I have your name here. This is what you call as data redundancy. Redundancy, same data is mentioned in multiple tables. Okay, keep in mind, if it's redundancy, the same data is mentioned in multiple tables. In data duplication, the same record is mentioned in multiple, in a one table. Okay, the same record is repeated. If a record is repeated, that is what you call as duplication. The same data is mentioned twice. For example, like you can see here that there is a Rajkumar as a person. Let's say again there is Rajkumar. That is what you call as data duplication. The same table, the data is repeated. But redundancy is the same data mentioned in another table. Is that clear? Understood the difference between redundancy and duplication, all of you? So redundancy, more duplication. No. Redundancy is the same data is there in multiple places. For example, imagine something like this. Imagine you have your, you have mentioned your, let's say, you're attending an institute. In this institute, okay, for every class, for example, let's say you're attending the ICT class, you're attending the maths class, and let's say you're attending the science class. All three classes, what they do is they have a book that mentions students attending that classes. Students attending that classes. Students attending that classes. So in this book, your name will be stored, your address will be stored, your telephone number will be stored. In this book, your name will be stored, your address will be stored, your telephone number is stored. In this book, your name is stored, address is stored, and telephone number is stored. Now, if you see your name is stored in this book, your name is stored in this book, and your name is stored in this book as well. See, the same data is stored in multiple places. This is what you call as data redundancy. Same data stored in multiple places. But imagine without doing something like this. if the institute has like a common book called student record, what they can do is the details about the students they can make keep here, and for ICT Math Science in that book, ICT Maths Science, without mentioning all of your details here. Normally in schools only have admission number. No? Likewise, I can mention here, okay, today this admission number student came. Today this admission number student came. Today this admission number student came for the class. Right? I don't have to mention all these details unwantedly. But if I'm going to know, so what is the advantage of this is, let's say if you're going to update your name in Institute A, okay, in Institute A, you have to update your name in 3 places. Here also you're in the ICT student list also you update, math student list also you update, science list also you update. But if you are attending Institute B, you have to update only in the reception, in the main, only at the institute update the name. You don't have to go and update it here because here your names are not used. Instead, your admission number is used. Right? This is what you call as data redundancy. The same data stored in different tables. Tables are like books here, which I'm referring to. Got the idea? Okay. So with that, actually, we're done with the database question. Anyone having any other questions to ask? Hey, by the way, tell your marks out of 10 marks, how much you got here? Actually, to explain this, I had just mentioned data redundancy. It's better if you can explain. For example, you can mention explain saying data redundancy can cause data inconsistency if a data if the same data is mentioned in multiple tables, and when that data gets changed, if we forget to update a specific record, or if we forget to update in a specific table, you can explain it. Okay, 8 9 8 3. Maybe, sir. Okay, not bad. So yeah, for today we're going to do up to there. If you have any questions, you can stay and ask. Others, if you are clear, you can leave. Sorry for the time extension. I think I took half an hour extra. I told 10 minutes, and I took half an hour. Can I get an understanding of one to many, man to many relationships? I told this in the last paper class, man. Go and watch the recording. You want me to repeat every week? I think last week or the week before the last, I told about that when I was doing this question. Yeah. Not this paper, basically. Or MCQ. Dekha. I know which one I told. I can't remember exactly where. Last week, sorry, week before the last week, I told you all about. Or last week. Go and check that. Oh, WhatsApp me, I had the recording. I think I sent it recently. Because that will take another half an hour. Yes, exactly. That it's very easy. Dun 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 dun. If you all know what do you mean by this, it's a relationship which I mentioned here. If you can remember what these symbols are, then you can yes, that or something like this. No writing one like this, one like this, one like this. Yes. Boring. We'll be getting questions regarding relationships as well. In that time I'll show you. I think I showed for this paper, or I can't remember which paper exactly I showed. Was there MCQ regarding relationships, database relationships? No, I did a different paper. Yes. That term paper discussion paper, I guess. As I can remember. No questions, no questions, no questions. Last week, GL line seal, what is it? You can choose any value you want, or you can go for the default value as well, Ilma. When you're formatting, it'll ask you. Okay, as there's no other questions, I'm going to end the meeting. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Enjoy.